there, man. Give me a break.
Wide open. The hell are you doing?
Come on, John.
Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Let's go!
Oh my God! The hostile takeover of Donald Trump on Vince McMahon has happened at WrestleMania 23.
Let's go, Brandon.
My name is
All right, Section YY8 podcast coming back to you for another big episode here. We don't have the full crew this week. Day Vol couldn't join us, but still got the big guns out here. Big Montana, Harb, and Gavin are here with us this week. And we got a big show planned, Gavin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's
Are
get
you
into
excited?
it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you before we started recording, my dad ran into Philip Fulmer in the Skybox this weekend.
That's unfortunate.
He shook his hand and said, "Hey, Coach, nice to see you. Appreciate all you've done." Something to that effect.
Gross.
I really don't know what he said, but
Smart man.
yeah, we're
No
still working.
comment.
Big Montana's people are still working on getting him on the show this week, or not this week, obviously, but at some point. We'll keep you posted, Gavin, because you won't want to miss that one. I know you've got a lot of questions to ask.
I have no questions to ask.
I think I'd be a perfect guest for the Thanksgiving week show. I think it'd be perfect.
I don't think he would get to talking football any at all. He'd just be talking about fixins.
You think he eats like a whole turkey leg at Thanksgiving, or does he just carve it up and eat it in slices?
That's one bite.
Just one. Well, I can't say anything. I ate like him in the Skybox Saturday. We got me and Big Montana last second invitees up to the box, along with listener to the show, Chassie Griff, who left her husband out in the cold. But he didn't care. We knew he didn't care. So, Gavin, we were. I wrote some notes. Can you imagine being a Kentucky fan? I know we've talked about this.
Absolutely not.
Can you imagine what a game they had over the weekend?
What a bunch of losers.
Can you imagine losing to Vanderbilt and being a Kentucky fan?
And having the first overall draft pick on your team, apparently. Bunch of idiots.
He just
they were
keeps
supposed
shooting.
to win the East. Bunch of dummies.
Remember back in the summer when Matt Jones complained about, I think it was On3, rated the quarterbacks in the SEC, and they had Will Levis at 7, and he said, "Let's check back in November." Well, it's November, Matt.
Here we are.
Matt Jones. Those guys it's got to be killing those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kentucky Sports Radio guys, you talk about drinking Fat Phil's bathwater. Big Montana does. I mean, what about those guys? They have drank Will Levis and the Kentucky Wildcats football team's bathwater. I mean, that team has been so over. I can't believe people were picking them to win the East over Georgia, and 2, be in a possible discussion for a playoff or New Year's 6 bowl game. Playoff, but back to the mines for the Wildcats. So how are we feeling about the Vols? They pounded Mizzou. I made some notes here. Pounded the Missouri Wildcats, Kentucky Wildcats. I got Kentucky. Gavin, I got Kentucky on the brain.
Oh, no.
Let me start over. Tennessee pounded Missouri, 724 yards of total offense, a new school record. Hendon Hooker had 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 rushing. Tennessee went on a 38-0 run after leading 28-24 in the third quarter. And Dylan Sampson out of nowhere, rushing the football really well. I think he put up triple digits on
He's a
Saturday.
dog.
So how are we feeling heading into this? We'll talk about South Carolina here in a minute, but how are we feeling about the Vols? 9-1, 5th in the college football playoff rankings still, 2 weeks to go. How are we feeling? Harb, I'll start with you. I hadn't talked to you yet.
Feeling pretty good. After the Georgia game, everybody, we're all on consensus. Like last 3, this is a business trip. We got to take care of business, and we got to look good doing it. Phase 1 complete. Now we got to go to Columbia. Heard the team was playing Sandstorm during practice the other day. That little candy ass song that they got. I'm feeling good. We're 21.5 point favorites. I really don't think it's enough. I think it's just that low because we're on the road. It's gonna be a long night in Columbia for the Gamecocks, but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good going into this whole road trip.
I also listened. I came back from Gatlinburg. I was in Gatlinburg most of the week, and I listened to Sandstorm the whole way back today just to prepare myself for Saturday night.
Gross.
And South Carolina's top 2 running backs are out of this game, by the way. I didn't know if y'all had seen that or not. Not that I don't think it matters, but
No, it doesn't.
bring me Spencer Rattler's head on a platter.
I hate that guy. I agree.
Yeah,
What a cancer of a football player.
yeah, he was great on QB1.
Yeah. You could just tell he was just a pompous asshole.
A stand-up human being.
Yeah.
Big Montana, how are you feeling about the Vols right now?
Man, I'm just waiting for that Michigan-Ohio State game. I'm ready to get back in the top 4. I need TCU to get beat. I think they finally get handed their first L of the year this weekend against Baylor. Hardly knew her.
Baylor, I hardly knew her.
What else has got to happen? People are talking about LSU possibly sneaking in with a SEC championship win. I don't think they're going to even have a chance, to be honest with you. I'd like to see USC get beat also, just kind of take them out. Oregon took care of themselves this past week. I don't think the Vols are going to, if they take care of business and win out, I think they're going to slide into the 4th, if not the 3rd spot. I'd like to get to that 3rd spot just to keep from playing Georgia in the first round to set up a SEC natty. Because 1 plays 4, right?
Yeah, one plays 4, 2 plays 3.
Yeah.
Gavin, did you watched the game, I assume, Saturday by yourself because we won.
Naturally.
So did you think Tennessee was a little sloppy early on Saturday with some penalties and just I'm not going through the motions, but they kind of let Missouri hang around for a little bit, and then they just absolutely turned it on in the third quarter. I mean, hammer down.
Yeah. We stepped on the gas and we looked at our opponent and said, you don't really belong to be, you ain't supposed to be in this game. So we're going to see you. And it's exactly what we did.
Yeah. Missouri, I really thought
their D-line was making plays in the first half. And then I think it was in the third quarter, we just turned a switch. It looked like they got tired and they were like, just give up almost. They've had enough and we just started rolling.
I mean, I thought at halftime it should have been 31-7 or 31-14 Tennessee, but we went for it on fourth down, didn't kick a field goal, and then Missouri went down and kicked the field goal. So it was 28-17. Then they scored in the third quarter, and it got a not tense, but it was a little nervous energy going around. And then we scored in like 3 plays. Jalen Hyatt was just running wide open, and it was on from there. That was Tennessee football under Josh Heupel at its best in that third quarter.
Speaking of that halftime exchange where Heupel went for it before the half, some idiots tweeted out that Heupel going for it got too greedy, and then the big heads that like to always keep Tennessee in their mouth.
Was it Dan Wolken or
It was.
Pat 40 or of course. Who else would it be?
Naturally.
Yeah, and then they were mad at the end of the game because we put our backups in and we just kept chucking bombs. Joe Milton just flips the ball, perfect spiral, 70 yards or 65 yards. I don't care. I don't care. How many times have we had that crap done to us? I don't care. And we've got to do that. Our last 3 opponents aren't the best in the world. We've got to beat the snot out of them going forward. We can't win a game 35-31 and expect to get in the playoffs with all these other, which we'll talk about in a second. You got all these other teams that it's going to be a wadded up mess here at the end. So you got to make yourself stand out, which Tennessee's done, I think. But, they need, if they can put 50 or 60 up on Carolina this weekend at Williams-Brice, they need to do it. Who cares? I don't care what Pat 40 or Dan Wolken say. They can kiss my right butt cheek for all I care.
Yes. So I don't know if Heupel said this or I imagined it or read it somewhere. But second string guys were in there. Those guys, they fought their tail off to get into UT to play football. They went through the same practices all year long. They went through 2-a-days. They did all this. They played hurt, the whole shebang. You're going to tell these guys they can't play and show what they got in a game time, experience. And they're showing tape for next year for starting jobs and stuff like that. So turn the scoreboard off, just take your team to the locker room if you don't want to get scored on. Keep us out of the end zone. Cam Newton said it. You don't want me to dance? Keep me out of the end zone.
That's what I mean. I played high school sports. I didn't play college, but you got in a game late or something, you're trying to score too, or, be productive. It's not go out there and just like in basketball, I wasn't just going out there just to throw the basketball around. I'm going to go out there and try to shoot it if I'm open. So yeah, it's just people whining and crying, national fake news media, typical.
I gotta give Dorkwitz just a teeny bit of credit. I will.
Okay.
After the game, they asked him about us throwing the ball with 2 minutes left or whatever. And he was like, man, I don't have a comment on that. He said, Heupel's job is to coach Tennessee and my job is to coach Missouri. And if we don't want them to score, we need to stop them. That's the end of that. And that is probably
that's true.
The smartest thing to ever come out of his mouth. I respected that.
That's very true. Dorkwitz. God. That guy. They're paying him $6 million. I can't get over that. We talked about that last week. Well, so Tennessee improved to 9-1, 66-24 win over Missouri. That's we scored 62 last year against them, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Somewhere in that general region.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. I was getting a phone call. 62 and 66. So we'll see next year if we can put up 60 spot or maybe even 70. We'll see. Harb, me and you and Big Montana were in LSU last month. LSU won the SEC West this past weekend. Did you think when we were sitting there in Tiger Stadium with our boy in front of us, I love the Vols.
I love you, Vols.
I love you, Vols.
Did you think that they would win the West after seeing that?
No, I thought they were going to be fighting to make a ball game. Like I really did.
Yeah, I did too.
I don't like Brian Kelly, but I'll give him all the credit in the world. I mean, he inherited 30-something scholarship players when he came in, and
it was a mess.
And if their kicker would have made an extra point against Florida State, we'd be their only loss right now. He's done a phenomenal job, and they've turned that ship around.
Can you imagine the argument they would have if they hadn't lost that Florida State game to be in the playoffs right now? I mean, it would basically be our win over them, keeping them out. But if they won the SEC title with a one loss, there's no way they're putting us in over them.
Right.
So that
might not.
I don't think and we'll go ahead and get into the playoff talk. So LSU and Georgia clinched their spot to Atlanta. They'll play on December 3rd for the SEC title, but I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios going around. USC's creeped back into the picture. So we got to deal with them because they got a big game this weekend against UCLA, who's ranked. Then they got Notre Dame left, and then the Pac-12 title game. Then you've got TCU in one of the ugliest games I've watched in a long time. I sat there and watched most of the game. I flipped it over to the Washington-Oregon game was pretty good. It was entertaining, but Oregon's out. They've lost their second game after Washington won, but I mean, you've got USC there with a chance to win the Pac-12 title and have one loss. You've got LSU with 2 losses, but still have an opportunity to beat Georgia and win the SEC title. If that happens, then Georgia's going to have a loss. You got Ohio State, Michigan, who are both undefeated. One of those is going to lose. I think we probably need Michigan to lose because they have a weaker schedule, but there's a chance to have like 3 or 4. Well, you forget about TCU. I mean, they got Baylor this weekend, the Big 12 title game. We could have like 4 or 5 teams with 1 loss, and it gets
Baylor,
really.
And then they got Iowa State, I think.
Yep.
This thing could get really muddled up in a hurry over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as we take care of business, and I think the only, like if we went out and we do it in flashy fashion, I mean, I truly think there's like a 95% chance we get in at least number 4. I think the only thing kind of scares me, like if TCU goes undefeated and let's say Michigan wins in overtime, that's a scenario where I see that we might get left out. But barring something crazy,
I don't see either one of the Michigan or Ohio State staying in the top 4 with a loss, just because both. I mean, the only difference between Ohio State and Michigan is Ohio State's played Notre Dame. That's the only game that's different. Michigan was incredibly stupid to schedule Colorado and Hawaii and some other cupcake on their Colorado State, whoever it was, on their, out of conference. They should have had, somebody a little bit bigger.
Well, they had UCLA on their schedule and they took them off.
And they ran.
They paid them not to play them.
I mean, we've done that too. So, but I mean, they took them out.
But with us being number 1 and we losing to the number 3 and dropping 4 spots, 2 and 3 is going to drop just as much because, I honestly think that game, I think Michigan's going to beat the shit out of them, to be honest with you. I think that Michigan beating Ohio State at home also is going to weigh into that. We need one of the 2 to win by a good margin, though. We don't need an overtime game, that's for sure.
The only thing that scares me is like if Michigan wins a close game, I feel like the committee and the media kind of value Ohio State a little bit more than they do Michigan as far as viewership goes.
But the thing about it is, I was listening to another podcast this week, and why is Ohio State like, why are they looked at like anybody else? That national championship team was a long time ago. Ezekiel Elliott is an old man in the NFL now. Like,
it's because they have a Heisman top quarterback and they have high recruiting classes and they're Ohio State.
I get that, but they're not Alabama or Clemson anymore. They're not, LSU. I don't even think they're Michigan right now. I mean, I have not been impressed with Ohio State at all. You mean that? I mean, I understand their game against Northwestern was in the rain and it was crazy, but you're telling me you can't line up and run the ball down Northwestern's throat and beat them by 3 touchdowns, and you're supposed to be the number 2 team in the country? Give me a break.
You're not impressed by them beating Illinois by 56-14 with keeping their starters in the whole game? Not impressed by that?
No, I'm just talking about what I've seen lately.
I was making a joke, but they suck. I'm not really too worried about it. I think if we just went out, we control what we can control.
Yeah.
If they want the 4 best teams in, we're going to be in. So it is what it is.
Bingo.
Yeah, I'm looking at the playoff predictor. It's the All-State playoff predictor on ESPN. They've got Georgia 97% chance, Ohio State 89% chance, Michigan 65%, Tennessee 60%, TCU 34%. Then you go to the next line, you got Clemson 25%, Alabama 13%, USC 7%, LSU 5%, and Utah 4%.
I think if they want the 4 best teams, they just need to do away with the rankings. I think it's Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, and probably TCU.
So you don't think Ohio State and Michigan's one of the top 4 teams?
I think it'd be very close between TCU and those two.
Well, we'll see. Ohio State, Michigan play next weekend. And then this weekend, like what you said, TCU and Baylor. Is that game at Baylor or at TCU?
It's at Baylor.
Ooh, I could get dicey.
TCU is a 2.5-point favorite.
Man, that Texas TCU game. I don't know if you watched it, Gavin. God, that is like watching a youth football game.
I had a better time watching Vanderbilt.
Oh gosh, that is bad.
I had a better time watching Auburn.
Hey,
there was a
Go
very
ahead.
loud ovation in Neyland when they showed the end of that game, the Kentucky Vanderbilt game.
Oh yeah, there was.
I think it was more laughter than applause. There's definitely more laughter.
Oh, there was a lot of laughter in the box by me when they showed that, and several others. My boy wasn't there that got mad at me. But I didn't say anything. I just kept it to myself. I didn't want to offend anybody or upset anybody that may or may not be a closet Kentucky fan. Everybody gets their feelings hurt these days, Gavin. Gavin's speechless. Shoot, I lost where I was. I was going to ask you all something and I totally forgot.
Good discussion.
Great. All right, that's the show. See y'all next week. The Washington-Oregon game. That's what it is. Did anybody watch that game? It was actually, I don't pride myself on watching a lot of Pac-12 football, but it came on at the same time as the Texas TCU game. I tuned into the Texas TCU game and put the Washington-Oregon game on the little TV. I quickly moved it over and switched them because the Texas game was like watching paint dry. But that Washington-Oregon game was actually pretty entertaining. I was surprised.
I was asleep on Nisa's couch and I woke up to him laughing. I said, "What's so funny?" He said, "This Texas TCU game is setting football back 100 years."
Oh, it was calm. And I was laughing because the announcers were pretty much like making fun of both teams because they literally like 2 or 3 drives, they didn't complete a forward pass.
Yeah.
It was rough to watch.
I take back my TCU being top 4 team. I put Michigan in there.
I was about to say, I know TCU's undefeated and they almost have to put them in there. I get that. But watching them Saturday, they're solid. They're a very good football team. But I don't think they're not better than us. They're not better than Georgia. I don't think they're better than LSU. I haven't really seen Ohio State or Michigan play this year. I'm assuming that they're probably closer to those 2 teams than they're closer to Tennessee, LSU, or Georgia. I haven't seen USC play this year, so I don't know about them, but they're a solid football team. Looks like they play good defense.
Sonny Dykes is just bringing his coaching career back by his performance this year, though.
That guy's been all over the place, too.
I know, and he's been terrible at places, but he's just resurrected his name.
He was good at Louisiana Tech, and then he went to, or was it SMU? I can't remember which one he was at.
I believe it's SMU.
He may have been at both. I'm pretty sure he was at both. I can't remember.
Everywhere.
But and then he went out west.
Tech, California, TCU, SMU, and then back to TCU.
That's right. Yeah, he was at. I forgot about him going to California.
Yep.
Well, he's definitely going to be a coach of the year finalist this year. I don't know how many finalists they do, but I would assume we could probably pinpoint about 90% of them.
Yeah, I think him and Heupel are definitely up there.
Gotta be.
So-
Mac Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North Carolina. I mean, I think they're ranked too low to be able to climb up there. But I mean, I think I would pick North Carolina to beat Clemson right now.
But that's
They put
another
up points.
that's another game. If both of them went out to go to the ACC title game, you've got Clemson and North Carolina. It's going to be a top 10 game for the ACC championship. That's another one to watch because the winner of that one's probably going to have one loss. I don't think they've done enough overall to get in, but I mean, this thing could get muddied up in a hurry.
Yeah.
Which is why Tennessee needs to take care of business and look good in the process.
The one thing that's going to help Tennessee is that they're going to look at our viewership of games this year, and they're going to look at how we travel to games. That's going to help us a lot. I think we sneak in over somebody else just because, I mean, the Bama game, the Georgia game, the Florida game, they're all record-setting type deals. So it'll be interesting.
I think the committee's dream scenario is Ohio State beats Michigan and TCU wins out. That way they can get Georgia and Tennessee rematch in Atlanta because they know that ratings and travel will be ridiculous for that game, and they could really give two shits less. I think they would prefer Ohio State getting a little bit of a bye against TCU because they want Ohio State in the championship game, but Georgia-Tennessee rematch in Atlanta is what the committee is thinking about, for sure.
I can see that.
I'd love it.
I think
I
I
will be there if that happens.
I think any of these matchups right now are pretty appealing to TV. I mean, you've got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee, all have huge fan bases. And then you've got LSU and USC, who LSU's got a very big fan base. USC's got it's a national brand. I don't think they'll have much of a following travel, but TCU's probably in that same boat. But you've got 5 or 6 like power programs, historic programs up there that will draw a bunch of ratings.
USC is another one too.
Yeah, and Clemson and Alabama is probably not in it, which is going to help because people have been clamoring for different teams. Well, we got it finally.
Yep.
Hopefully. Alabama's still hanging around, lurking back there, but I don't think they're in any position to
The thing
move
about
their
it is
way up.
people will watch us just to hope we lose too. I mean, every TV in Kentucky with a couple of Oxycontin pills on top of it's going to be tuned in for the Big Orange
Right.
just to hope we lose.
Well, they don't have flat screen TVs in Kentucky either. They still got the antennas on the box
That's
TVs.
true. That's true.
In a weird way, though, I feel like a lot of people in America are pulling for us, though. You
I
know,
think so,
because
too.
I don't think anybody wants to see a repeat champion. If you don't live in the state of Ohio, you hate Ohio State. If you don't live in the state of Michigan, you probably hate Michigan. I think people are pulling for us in TCU, really.
Teams like Tennessee and Michigan are giving everybody else hope. Teams like, Nebraska and, Texas. Well, we were at rock bottom. We climbed our way back. If they can do it, we can do it too,
It's like Rocky. If I
Yes.
can change,
And
you can change. If Tennessee can win, then yous can win. Great movie. So before we get into picking the game this weekend, while I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee decided to announce that we're wearing orange helmets. So I'll let you all go before I give my comments on it. So what are we thinking about the orange helmets?
Let's go ahead and get the negative one out of the way. Go ahead, Niece.
I don't
Yeah,
like
go ahead,
it.
bro.
I don't like it.
Boo.
I like
you
the
not-
white. What's
Do you
wrong
not
with
like
our
tradition?
Boo.
tradition? What are you talking about?
Did you see what Heupel said today?
I don't know what he's talking about. When have we worn an orange helmet?
It was like
30s.
it was like the brownish orange leather helmet or whatever.
I didn't understand that. one, but-
Here's my bone I got to pick with you. Well, we got the gray helmets. Boo. We got the black helmets. Boo. We need to stick to our colors, orange and white. We finally get an orange helmet. I don't like it. It ain't tradition. Get the hell out of here.
I just
on.
don't
They look
like. I
beautiful.
don't mind. I've said this. I don't mind it once a year, but like, what have we turned into? Oregon all of a sudden, changing
Well,
uniforms every game.
The thing about it is, so we wore gray on the road, right? We wore black at home versus Kentucky.
Yes,
That was for Halloween. Like we kept Florida and we kept Georgia and Alabama, the 3 blue buds. We kept that as traditional as possible. I just think it was hilarious that our AD, sorry,
Danny White.
Danny White,
Danny
said
boy.
Danny Boy said
Big
we're going
D.
to wear traditionals against the teams that matter or whatever, and then we show
Yeah.
up to Kentucky wearing black, LSU wearing gray, South
Against
Carolina.
our, I think he said against our rivals.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, I don't think it looks
Beautiful.
bad. The helmet. I don't know.
My one critique is that the oranges need to match. The orange on the orange helmet does not match the jersey. And that
Well,
buttons.
I mean,
It's
I
hard
totally
to tell
agree with
without
that,
seeing it in
but
person.
Yeah, we haven't like physically seen it outside of an edited photo, so I'm gonna hold my breath on that comment until Saturday.
But I will say the
don't
black.
necessarily agree.
I will say the black.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm getting feedback. The black helmets are the best looking helmets besides the white.
Bowling's
but
got a like. It's like he's on a delay or something.
It's like he's on a
What in the
delay or something.
I hear you too.
What in the I hear you too.
This is wild.
This is wild.
I wonder if it's gonna be like that on when we.
It's gonna be like that on when we.
I just muted Big Montana for a second. We'll see if that fixes it. It did not.
We'll see if that fixes it.
What's going on?
I have no idea.
Going on?
What is
I
happening?
have no idea.
God, I'm on a delay. I'm on a delay too.
I'm gonna add.
Add.
It's not Gavin, so I've muted Big Montana.
Not Gavin. So I've muted. Big Montana. I've muted.
I'm gonna mute Harb, and it sounds like it went away. It's Harbin.
It was Harb.
It was Harbin. It was Harbin all
We
along.
knew it.
Harbin, check your speakers there. I'm not real sure what's going on.
Your speakers there. I'm not real sure what's going on.
I'm not either.
While you're working on that, I'm gonna mute you
Don't
for
forget.
just a second. So you all like the orange helmets, Gavin and
sir.
Big Montana, correct?
Yes, sir.
Stand by, Harbin. I'll get back to you. Do you think they will wear those at all in a bowl game or playoff, something like that? I don't. I say no.
I don't think so. No.
Not in an important game like that. No.
It's back. I don't know what's going on, Harbin.
And I love that it was Milton who was posing for it.
Yeah, it was cool. I did like that. Milton's been a great teammate, great backup quarterback. And if he can throw the football like he's been throwing it when he comes in next year, Tennessee's going to be okay. Either him or Nico.
Okay.
So Tennessee, South Carolina this weekend. We talked about the orange helmets. I'm tired of talking about them. They're going to wear them. Good for them.
They're beautiful.
I will say this one last thing on that before we move on. Blake Dutton texted me the other day and was telling me, he basically said this: we're winning. They're doing this stuff and we're winning, so it makes sense. I'm like, really? Does this have anything to do with how we're performing on the football field? I mean, I know wearing jerseys makes you feel good. You look good, play good, has always been the same. But when you get down to it, they got to play football between the lines and execute. And I don't think it matters what color helmet or what color jersey they got on. Alabama and Georgia don't do this stuff. USC doesn't do this stuff. But to each his own. I'm not mad about it. I just don't understand why we're so enamored as a fan base with all these different. I mean, it's cool to do it one time, but it's like sometimes I feel like that's all we're worried about a lot of the time is when are we wearing smoky gray? When are we wearing the orange helmet? I just could care less, man. We're in the playoff hunt right now, and we're
I
worried
agree.
about what color jerseys we're wearing.
I agree with you, but I think it does help from a recruiting standpoint because these young guys, they like stuff like that. They like the Jordan schools. That's a big thing. You know, what cleats you wear. I really do think that, you know, if you're a Nike school or Adidas school, I think that weighs on some people. Should it? Probably not. You should probably go where you have the best chance to play or, you know, the best chance at a good education or, you know, whatever, or the best chance to win a championship. But I do think that Oregon set the tone for the swagger as far as like uniforms and stuff. And, you know, it's talked about with 15, 16, 17-year-old dudes. That's what they like. So
Yeah.
the only thing better than that is if you have really good looking hostesses when they come in for their recruiting visits. So there you go.
Send in the closer.
There you go.
Hey, yo. I can just hear Nice in like the stands yelling like, "Don't let the inmates control the asylum. Don't let the players pick what they want to wear." I can just hear it. I can hear
I liked your tweet the other day. It was the Simpsons.
Old man yells
Old
at
man-
air.
Old man yells at the clouds or the sky or something.
Yeah.
No,
I
Uh,
can just see it
The
now.
only gripe I have about this weekend is I feel like the orange helmets would look better if we had an orange jersey or orange pants or both.
Yes.
Like
Orange
we went
pants.
all orange.
now I would
we
be
went-
if they wore orange pants with this, I'd be totally on board.
Orange
I'm
pants would.
I'm shocked that they didn't. I'm shocked that we went white on white with the orange lid. But I still think it
Because
looks
the
good.
orange-
I just figured that we'd have orange jersey or orange pants with it.
The oranges don't match.
My-
Therefore, that's why they're doing it.
My favorite.
To be determined, Montana. To
You know,
be determined.
the oranges have. If you go back to the 90s and watch some of those games, the orange on the helmets never matched the orange numbers on the jerseys.
We're just continuing tradition.
So, I mean, that in that regard, we're just continuing what we always do. So, I don't know why it's so hard for the manufacturers of these uniforms to get the oranges right. It's always been like that. Adidas got it wrong a lot of times. I think there was a set of jerseys that Adidas got right back. I think it was Dooley's last year, or maybe the last 2 years that he was there. They actually did it right, but anytime before or after that, it's not ever really matched. I think it matches now. I thought the uniforms when we played at Georgia matched perfect. I thought they were awesome. But
Speaking of oranges not matching, I see about 6 different shades of orange in your room right now, Niece.
Ooh. Oof.
You've got 3 different shades of orange on right now.
Oof.
I do, don't I?
Oof.
I am wearing, for those listening to the audio version, I have an orange hoodie on and a black New Era, Rod Delmonico era hat, baseball hat, interlocking UT. And the oranges are different colors. I'll admit, I'm looking at it in the screen right now. So,
Cool.
So Big Montana and Harbin are going to South Carolina this weekend, Gavin. You could have went, but in tradition, we're talking about tradition here on this week's show. You're staying at home watching it on the couch, I guess, right?
That's a fact. That is a fact.
Do you
So-
stay awake for the entire game? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
Even if we're up 40 in the fourth quarter, you're gonna stay up.
Yeah, I want to see Milton flick it.
Look at
I can't wait to walk in Williams-Brice Stadium. This is one of the favorite things I do. Harb and Big Montana both will appreciate this. When they run out of the tunnel, it's not Ric Flair's music, but it is. And I stand there, hold up 4s, and just start. Woo! I'll probably chest chop some people, knife edge chop a couple
Yes.
people when the Gamecocks run out, but then it's back to
Or,
business.
Are we going to sit in our seats or are we going to stand in the
No,
the
we're our
corral?
seats this year. So Big Montana and I, the 2016 game when we lost, we had bought 2 tickets and they were in the upper deck on the Carolina side, and we never made it up there. We stood in the circular stairway there in the end zone close to the student section.
and drink
and
Maker's Mark?
and Cameron was there with us. So it got a little ugly there. Of course, Tennessee lost. That didn't help, but it got ugly there in the third and fourth quarter and then after the game. But I digress. We'll talk about that in the off season. That'll be a good war story to tell. It's always fun over in South Carolina, though. I've never been over there and not had a good time. Except the 2016 game.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was a bad night.
Yep.
So Harb, you're going, Big Montana, you're going. We're hanging out in Spartanburg on Friday night and going to the game Saturday. So let's go around here and get everybody's prediction for the game. Score, do the Vols win? Do they pound them? What are we doing?
Go ahead, Harb.
Yeah, it's gonna get ugly. We already have a top 10 rush defense in the country, and like you said earlier, Nice, their top 2 running backs are out. And I'm sure y'all have seen, but Jalen Hyde is out for blood against South Carolina. He played high school football in the shadows of William Bryce Stadium, and Will Muschamp was too big of a dummy to offer him. So yeah, it's gonna get bad. I think the final score will look similar to Missouri, but I don't think it'll be as tight in the middle as Missouri was. Final score prediction, I'm going 59-20, good guys, and second half's coasting. I think we get on them early, and Spencer Rattlers cries like a little bitch. That's what happens.
Big Montana. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Well, just one last thing. I got to clown South Carolina one more time. I got a couple buddies that don't have tickets yet, but they're just gonna drive down to Columbia and go to Costco and get some upper deck tickets for $19.99 a piece.
Yeah, there was somebody else doing that too, but South Carolina was selling season tickets at Costco. You could just walk in, take them off the shelf, and walk out. Crazy. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I can't imagine Tennessee doing that.
Imagine in like 2010 or 2012, whenever you want to call it, if we were doing that at Sam's Club by Easttown. Could you imagine that? Sad.
I always say, can you imagine? And that is one. Can you imagine us going to Sam's Club at Easttown and buying season tickets? God. Big Montana. What do you think?
I think this game starts slow. I think it's going to be a ruckus atmosphere. But I do think that Tennessee pulls away big. I do agree with what he said about a lot like the Missouri game, but it being less tight. I think that they do score in the 20s, but I think Tennessee scores in the 60s. And I think they just dominate the entire second half. Joe Milton sees a lot of playing time in the fourth quarter. I do not see Beamer keeping this game close, especially without their 2 running backs. Their defense isn't good enough to stop UT, and it sounds like they're going to be one-dimensional. So let's ride.
Gavin, what do you think?
I think the Vols score 60 again. Hopefully we can hit 69. That would be nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
I think we let South Carolina score 20 points, maybe even less than that. If they just played their punter at quarterback, they have a better chance against us than Rattler. You know, he's horrible. He's terrible. And I think that's the only way they're scoring is on special teams, and Beamer can jump up and down on the sideline like an idiot.
Here's a little side game. What is the score going to be in the famous Beamer screenshot from this game where he's celebrating down by 1 million? Yeah. He's going to have his arms up in the air, and the score is going to be 52-13.
Gavin, will South Carolina win the fourth quarter and continue their impressive record in the fourth quarter?
No. Gosh, no. Milton's flicking that thing. I seen a thing on Twitter. I don't know why it happens to me, but it keeps popping up. South Carolina football's page pops up, and they were celebrating They were celebrating selling out in home games in October. And I was like, wait, why are we like narrowing this thing down to just October and like home games? Like, y'all are pathetic. Y'all are absolutely pathetic.
Gavin, here's another one for you. South Carolina, I'm looking at their team statistics. South Carolina, points per game. Let's see. They are ranked, if I'm reading this correctly, number 69.
Nice.
Nice.
I think I'm reading that correctly.
I hope you are. We're saying
matter.
so.
They're
Or
number
not.
69 in something. So let's see here. Rushing the football, they're not very good. And it's probably only going to get worse with their top two running backs out. They're 113th in the country in rush play percentage. Yards per rush, they're number 107. Rushes per game, they're number 115. And rush yards per game, they're number 114. Passing, they're a little better, but they're still not great. And this is a stat I saw that really favors Tennessee. South Carolina quarterback sack percentage is they're number 95 in the country, 5.21%. That bodes well for Tennessee because we have forced a lot of pressure on quarterbacks this year. Not necessarily gotten a lot of sacks, but if they're giving up that many sacks, percentage-wise per game, Tennessee might live in the backfield quite a bit in this game. We'll see. It says here their completion percentage is number 17 nationally. Yards per pass is number 45. Passing yards per game, they're number 46. So they're a little ahead of middle of the pack, but they're still not great. And they're definitely
they're going to dink and dunk because that O-line is bad and their offensive coordinator's even worse.
Yeah, a lot of looking at South Carolina Twitter, nobody has any faith that they win this game, and they all want their offensive coordinator, who is from Cookeville, I believe. They want him fired, so he might be gone at the end of the year. They've not been. That was another team people picked to win 8 or 9 games. I don't know why. Just foolish.
I was kind of, I don't want to say afraid of them, but if you remember at the beginning of the season, I thought that South Carolina was going to be more of a contender this year than what they were. I thought they were going to be better than Kentucky, which they beat Kentucky. But I don't know. I just got awful flashbacks at 16. But
that's true.
I'm not afraid of playing South Carolina.
The only thing that concerns me about this game, and I think Tennessee wins this game going away. I think we cover. The line last I saw was 22.5 points in favor of the Vols. I think we cover that. The only thing that concerns me is if Tennessee goes in there, commits penalties, turns the football over. It's a night game in the SEC. That place, it's not the loudest. I said this a couple weeks ago. It's not the loudest, but it can get loud in there. And they have we're making fun of them, but they do have a pretty passionate fan base. But hopefully Tennessee goes in there, which I think they will, take care of business early on, protect the football, play solid football. I think Tennessee wins this game 58-13. I don't think it's even close. I just think South Carolina, they're not good. I mean, Florida pounded them last week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're better than Florida.
That was ugly.
Yeah, it was 30. I turned it off at one point, flipped it over to see, and it was 38-6. I didn't see what the final score was, but it was not. South Carolina's not good, and they're going to be one-dimensional. I think Missouri's better than South Carolina at this point. So, I don't know. I just think Tennessee's the better football team, the better football program right now. We should take care of business.
Missouri beat them 2 weeks ago.
And it's a night game. And like I said, it's a night game in the SEC. You can't go in there and just expect to show up and win. But I think this football team right now is at a point where they've got something to prove. They got a chip on their shoulder, and I think they do that again this weekend, especially one of our wide receivers who got snubbed by South Carolina, Jalen Hyatt. He's going to have something to prove this weekend or something to show the state of South Carolina. So he wasn't recruited by Clemson or USC or SC. So USC Junior, sorry. But I think the Vols win this one going away. And I think we all do. So
Yeah.
Vols by 50, right?
That's right.
Especially if we jump on them early, because I mean that place is going to be rocking at the very beginning of the game. I mean, like South Carolina does get live. I'll give them that. But
I'm
if
interested
we go
to
up
see
like 14-0 in like the first 8 or 9 minutes. That place is going to be crickets, and
What's their record right now? They 5 wins.
they're bowl eligible.
Are they? They got
they're
Clemson.
already
They got,
6-4.
I think. Don't they?
Oh
have
yeah, that's right. Because
They have
they
Clemson
end.
coming next week, right?
Yeah, they end with us and Clemson. Yeah, I think they're probably 6-4, 7. They ain't 7-3. No,
They're 6-4.
No, they've won 6.
Okay.
I'm interested to see how many Tennessee fans travel down to this game. It's a 4-hour drive from Knoxville. There's a lot of South Carolina fans a lot of Tennessee fans in that part of the country, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. It's not far away. So I'm interested to see how many Tennessee fans are there this Saturday. This feels like to me one of those games where kind of like the LSU game, and I don't know, if it's that appealing because there's a lot of people went to the LSU game because we never play down there, but could this be one of those games where we take over the stadium with 15, 20,000 people? I don't know if there'll be that many there, but I'm hoping there's a ton of orange there this weekend. I think there will be.
Well, just personally, I know of including our crew that's going, I know of at least 20 people that are making their way down. Most of them are Straw Lane's mascot faithfuls.
I mean, there's 7 of us going. I mean, when was the last time, Big Montana, that we went to a road game and 7 of us went? It's been a long, long time.
LSU.
Well, true.
Yeah.
I meant like we all got in a car and rode together and did like back in the day, we would 5, 6, 7, 8 of us would pack in and go somewhere.
Probably Auburn 2008. Yeah.
That's probably it. That's probably the last one.
Back when we were really dumb, following douchebag Dooley around.
That was Fulmer. Dooley was after Kiffin in 08. Yeah, Fulmer was fired after the 08 season. Yeah, there were several of us went in 09 to Alabama when Kiffin was there.
I think the Auburn game when it was 10-12 was
2008.
Was that 8?
Yes.
2008 was 14-12.
I was quoted in Mark Nagy's Decade of Dysfunction book because that was one of the worst games. I said it was one of the worst games I've ever seen. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the 2008 Tennessee game was 14-12. Go back and look at the drive sheet from that game for each team. In the second half, it was punt, 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 turnover on downs, punt, punt, fumble, turnover, punt, punt. I mean, it was awful. It was so bad.
And it was played on the right side of the 50 the entire time. Like,
yeah, nobody ever moved to the other side of the field.
Yeah, it was always like the 49 going this way.
It was bad. It was so bad. There was a bunch of us went down there. I think there was like 8 or 10 of us.
I felt like that was like at least post 2010, but I know I'm wrong.
Golly, yeah, because 2008, because we didn't play down there again until 2018
with Pruitt, and we beat them.
And we beat them with Pruitt.
Yeah, you're right. Son of a bitch, you're right.
Because I'm 1-1 at Auburn. And my uncle he says he's never seen Auburn win a game. I think he was I think that game was in 1990. Tennessee and Auburn tied 26-26. Greg Burke had a field goal to win the game and missed it. And Tennessee was up like 2 scores that game late, and they let Auburn come back and tie it. But that was a classic game. This Tennessee, we're getting way off subject here, but Tennessee-Auburn used to be a big rivalry game back in the 80s because we were both good. Both had good head coaches. The games were always really entertaining, and then that went away, obviously, with divisions. But Tennessee-South Carolina has been interesting over the last few years. Now, even when we were bad, we always seemed to play them pretty well. But
Well, the
see
number
this
one
weekend.
memory I have of William Bryce Stadium was kind of the, I guess it was the coming out party for Josh Dobbs, really.
Yeah,
Like
that was good.
when we had that, I'm assuming it
2014.
was 2014. Yeah.
Yeah, we won in
Uh,
overtime. We came from 2 scores down to force overtime.
We were down 14 with what, like 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left, something like
Something
that.
like that. Yeah, it was not. And Pig Howard was running all over the field in that second half. That was a great night. That was a great win because that game, the South Carolina fans left, the ones we were with, Melody, Nana, and all of them, they left and were back at the car back at the university house celebrating. They had no idea what was really going on the field. And me and my uncle went back and let them absolutely have it after the game. It was great, Gavin.
My God. Just looking back at the stat line, Josh Dobbs, 23 for 40, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He was also Tennessee's leading rusher with 24 carries, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
I knew he rushed the ball a lot, especially in the second half.
Pig Howard, 5 catches for 109 yards.
Yeah, that
Ridiculous.
was, I think, Butch Jones' first big win. I know it was South Carolina wasn't as good back then, as they had been earlier in the decade, but they were still a pretty good, solid program.
Yeah. Wasn't it the year previous when they were ranked like 9th or 10th or 11th or something?
And we
beat them in Neyland?
Beat him on that field goal, Michael Pilardi at the end of the game.
Marquez North. It only takes one hand to beat a
cock.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
That's
I've been trying to censor myself since you've let me know that we have children that watch and listen to the show. I've been doing my best.
And mothers.
Yeah.
Some of our mothers watch it too, but or listen. So no, my mom and dad took my aunt to the airport last week, and they were listening to it in the car, taking them to the airport. So shout out to Ronnie and Karen and Aunt Sherry listening to the podcast. Thank you. I'll have to send them a sticker. And by the way, in the box Saturday, I took a handful of stickers up there, and my uncle's wife, not my Uncle Eric, but my other uncle, his wife was passing them out to everybody. She's like, you get a sticker, you get a sticker. And people had them on and wearing them, and it was great. There's still some up there, I think. I think I left them. But anyways, I wanted to share this story before we cut off here because I'd like to we're recording this Thursday night. It's late in the week because I've been out of town all week. I want to get back and watch the end of the Titans-Packers Thursday night football game. But listener to the show, John Doty, sent us this. Gavin, I don't know if you've seen this. Somebody tweeted that there is a flock of sheep in Inner Mongolia that have been walking in a circle for over 10 days straight, and no one knows why. What could this mean, Gavin?
The Vols are back. The Vols are back, and we're going.
I mean, I'll show it to the ones that are watching on video. This is it. They're literally for 10 days, they've been walking in a circle.
Are they orange sheep?
No, they're white.
Traditional white sheep. Your traditional white sheep.
They're wearing Stormtrooper.
Oh, okay.
Randomly, can I give a special shout out?
Sure, go ahead.
I want to give a special shout out to head basketball coach Rick Barnes. Instead of making us wait 4 months, he just decided to start losing in November. So that's kind of him to lower the expectations and just to get us kind of primed and ready for the end of the season. That was one of the shittiest UT basketball games I've watched in his tenure.
That was ugly. They could not. And
it was awful.
It was awful. And at one point I said, "All right, guys. I mean, they're trying. We know they're going to try to shoot threes a lot, and that's their thing. And I'm fine with that. But at some point, you got to change it up. And they actually did. They couldn't even hit like 5-footers. I don't know what in the world was going on Saturday. They bounced back Wednesday this week against Florida Gulf Coast and won by 31, which I don't think they're very good. But yeah, that was not good last Sunday against Colorado. I'm hoping that's just a bad game. They get that out of their system. I will say there's been a lot of bad games by a lot of big-time programs in college basketball so far. Florida State lost the other night. Louisville's 0-3.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on up there.
It wasn't a bad loss, but Kentucky should have won that game against Michigan State.
That white boy from Michigan State is an absolute killer.
Yeah, he's
Hauser, I think his name is.
He's dog.
Yeah.
We were out last night. We had an awards thing at this conference I was at, dinner, and then we all went out afterwards. And one of the TVs at the place we were at had Syracuse on, and Colgate was absolutely beating the tar out of them. What is going on in Syracuse? They're awful.
I saw something hilarious. So this random guy on Twitter, he had 2 screenshots side by side, and the caption was something like, "This is art" or something. Last year, Colgate beat Syracuse, and the caption was, "We'll learn from this." They beat them by like 11 or 12 or something. And then it was a screenshot from the final score of this year's, and they lost by like 14. And it said, "One to learn from." And then like the caption was something like, "Well, obviously they're not learning," or something. Like it was just hilarious because Colgate beat them by double digits 2 years in a row. Tough scene.
I'm looking for an article I saw. I found it here. I got to scroll through it, but it was basically talking about how even college basketball is right now. You look down at the mid-major level, and they like sneak up and beat teams. Like this week, Alcorn beat Wichita State. Florida Atlantic beat Florida. I can't remember who beat Florida State earlier this week, but I mean, North Carolina the other night only beat Gardner-Webb by 6 at home. I don't know. It's
what about Louisville basketball losing 3 straight games by exactly 1 point?
1 point. That's incredible.
God. And one of them they hit a buzzer beater and they reviewed it and said that it was no good.
That's what I'm saying. I guess my whole point in bringing that up was we don't need to get hung up on one game in early November for Tennessee. Did they look good? No. Did they play good? Absolutely not. They did. That was awful. Well, and I think they would admit it. They shot 22% from the field.
The thing that kind of irritates me now, I will admit I didn't watch the whole game, but based on what I've seen this season, we're in Barnes, 7th year, 6th year, 8th year?
7th or 8th. I'd have to look it up. It's 7th or 8th.
Whatever it is. Our half-court offense is still abysmal with him. Like we can't set up anything in the half court. And side note, we miss Kennedy Chandler bad.
Mm-hmm. No, and I knew we would. That's a spot that somebody's got to grow up in a hurry. I don't know if it's Ziegler or Key, but they don't have that true point guard this year. That's a hole on this team. You're right about Tennessee and the half court offense. They were really under when Grant Williams, Schofield, and all them were here. They were very efficient offensively. Since then, it's been hit or miss, but it seems like Tennessee is right now, they don't have much of a post game. They're more of a jump shooting team. And so they got to have shots falling at a better. I mean, if they shoot 40%, they're probably going to be okay, but they can't go out there and shoot 22%. The only reason they were still in that game in the first half and leading was because they shot 23 free throws in the first half, which is great. Get to the foul line if you're not shooting well, but yeah, they can't, and they're probably going to have more of those games this year where they just can't shoot the basketball.
Yeah. And there's going to be games where we shoot the lights out and we're going to beat a team that's pretty good by a lot of points. And we're going to be as high as we are low right now. And that's what you get when you live and die by 3. But
I'm not low, Harb. I'm ready.
I just think there's a lot of.
I'm not low either, but Bowling's negativeness towards Rick Barnes is kind of rubbed off on me.
Buddy, he wins until the grass grows. That's the way it goes. I'm a Rick Barnes fan. I'm a Tennessee fan, but when the grass starts growing, he starts losing.
He won last year.
And another thing that kind of aids to us getting knocked out in the round 32, name our go-to scorer.
On this year's team?
Yeah.
I think that's up for debate right now.
We
I haven't
don't
memorized
have
players yet.
we don't have a guy where we can give them the ball and tell everybody to get out of the way and say go get us a bucket.
I think last year it was probably Chandler, just because of his playmaking ability. But this year you're going to rely on somebody like Triple J or Vescovi to be that person. I'm interested to see. And I didn't get to watch the game Wednesday night against Florida Gulf Coast. Julian Phillips hasn't done a whole lot at all these first couple games. I don't know what he did last night. I hadn't even seen the stats. I just saw the final score. But he's 5-star, pretty good talent, explosive. He's a one and done type player. He's one of those guys that could be that person you get the ball to at the end of the game, possibly. But I've not seen that yet. He's not done anything.
I'll tell you a guy to look out for, Meshack. I think he's going to work his way into some serious minutes, if not being a starter this year. He is night and day different from what he was last year. Of course, they were playing Florida Gulf Coast, but I mean, if they played Florida Gulf Coast last year, he wouldn't have scored. But I think he scored on like 3 straight possessions and like kind of took over a little bit there.
Just remember, I mean, Rick Barnes has always been a defensive-minded coach, and this team could be really good defensively still. I mean, I know they didn't play great against Colorado, but they've just got so many athletes. Jonas Adu, Meshack is a freak athlete.
Yeah.
You got Kamwa, who's not really that great of an athlete, but he's a big body down low. So they could still – I'm not giving up on this team after that Colorado game, but guys, it's football season. That's enough basketball talk. We got a big game this weekend against South Carolina. There'll be plenty of time to talk about the Baller Vols. Harb and Big Montana and myself are headed down to Columbia on Friday. There's 7 of us going. We're crashing in Spartanburg Friday night. We'll be back there Saturday night, but it'll be late after the game. But have a big party tomorrow night, maybe, and then we'll get up Saturday, get ready, have us a nice breakfast, fuel up for the day, maybe grab some lunch, and head to Columbia. I'm excited.
Just win the damn game.
JWTDG, and I'm bringing some of these with me, some stickers. So if you're in the area, hit up me, Harb, or Big Montana. Come over and tailgate with us. I'll give you a sticker for showing up. It'll be fun. Funsies.
I'm bringing a cornhole, so get ready, niece.
Amazing.
Oh, y'all are going to get
team
smacked
of-
like a pack of Newports, I can tell you that much.
Tag team of Big Montana and Nice will be back on the cornhole.
You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that lean.
When bowling gets that bowling lean going, watch out.
Especially if I'm in cowboy boots.
Lean.
Gavin, give us a thought real quickly before we have to go.
Vols by 100.
Vols by, not 69?
No, 169. Let's get it.
I like it. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody listening. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get back and watch the Titans and Packers. Hopefully King Henry and the guys can pull it out. Appreciate everybody listening. Remember to watch us on YouTube. Listen to us wherever you find your podcast. Go Vols. We'll see you in Columbia, and we'll see you next week here on the Section YY8 podcast.
I love you, Vols.